How do you help people share space, especially when you have quieter or introverted people in your group? I'm here with Shadeen Francis from ShadeenFrancis.com, and I'm Kathy Bartoli from theintimacydojo.com. And Shadeen, I loved what you were sharing in another talk we were doing. You were talking about how you just invite people to balance that. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, so it's a technique that I didn't create, so I'm not going to take credit for it. But it's, in short, called stepping up and stepping back. Mm-hmm. And so for folks who often have sort of a comfort facilitating a conversation, leaning into a conversation, maybe they're people that folks often go to often for their opinion.
Yeah.
I always try to encourage those folks to step back a little bit, to hold off. So someone asks a question to a room, and you're a person that is often, you think quickly, you process fast, you want to raise your hand. Just sort of take a moment and leave some space for someone else who's maybe feeling out other people's willingness to respond, getting their own thoughts together. And so that's a step back. If you're a person who is often kind of finding yourself holding, your perspective, that maybe you aren't sure if people want to hear, maybe you're feeling like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to risk being wrong. I want to always encourage those folks where they feel comfortable to lean in a little bit, and those are my step up. Because we absolutely want and need to hear your voices. And so it's a way that we can work in collaboration with one another, right? That I might lean forward and take up some space despite being an introvert. Mm-hmm. And so even if I step up, once I've stepped up, then I step back, right? Okay, I've already shared, let me make room. Or let me help somebody else step up, right? So, Kathy, I know that you were saying earlier, would you mind sharing?
Yeah. I love that. So basically, if you're Hermione Granger and your hand's always up, just maybe consider how important is it. Like, it doesn't mean you can never speak up, but the room is sharing responsibility for everyone having space, and it means stepping back sometimes and letting other people come forward. And I like that, sharing responsibility with the shyer people too, or the introverts. Like, hey, it's partly up to you to step forward and to support each other. And I really love that. I think that it's very collaborative versus you loud people need to be quieter. There's no shame in just like, as a room, we're going to facilitate this dance where we all get to step forward and step back.
I'm so glad that you said that it's a dance, because that's often how I refer to it.
Yeah.
There is this sort of ebb and flow, there's this movement, and so when we're actually working in tandem, when we're in a community with one another, we can actually have these conversations that flow really well, despite all of the other things that could come into play, right? So my level of comfort or expertise in this topic, whether I'm an introvert and extrovert, my speed of processing, a lot of that can sort of fall away if we're really just mindful of the people that we have around us and work to make room for people whose voices don't get to be heard very often. Yeah. And also for us to challenge ourselves a little bit to be heard where there are spaces being created for us.
Yeah, no, I think that's beautiful, because I have noticed I'm an introvert, so I'm often quiet, and I've gotten better at speaking up now I probably need to sometimes take a step back. But I know that sometimes when I'm being really introspective, I have thoughts and I see things from a different perspective than the people who are very extroverted. And so it's kind of interesting to me to watch that, like, oh, we need those opinions. We need all of them to blend together to get the best understanding of this.
Yeah, there's just so many ways of knowing, and there's not just one way to perform. There's not just one way to do activism. There's not just one way for any of these things. And so when we remember that, it can give us a lot more permission to say, oh, my perspective is valid because it's unique.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I really appreciate you sharing that, and I'm going to post it because I think that's something a lot of people can benefit from, that perspective of sharing responsibility as a community to make sure people get heard and everyone has space. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.